much, Dr. Neelu, and thank you, dear colleagues, for making yourself available for this great talk. Very honored to be among you and to be able to present my talk on a very relevant topic. So I hope you can see the slides now. Please confirm if the slides are visible. Okay, thank you very much. So again, a very warm hello to all of you, and thank you, Director Madam, and thank you, dear colleagues and students, for making yourself available. It is a moment of great pleasure for me to be present here among you, among the budding entrepreneurs and the seasoned entrepreneurs, to be able to present my current researches in the area and to see how the progressive minds are looking forward to venture in this area. So the title is very timely and very relevant, and we are in coronavirus situation, very difficult times, very unexpected times, and the industry has been very strongly hit all over the world by coronavirus and COVID-19. So let's see what is our stake in various industries as of today, and whether new prosperities are going to go by leaps and bounds, as was mentioned by the Director Madam a few minutes ago, that PM Narendra Modi ji and our Defense Minister have announced a big package in this area. So hopefully there will be great opportunities for the budding researchers to move forward. Today my talk is a talk that is an area that I am very passionate about. I do not claim any specialization in it, but I would try to present it from the best of all what I have done so far, and where I think we can move forward for those who want to work in the area. So outline of my presentation is as follows. I will begin with a brief bio, followed by my current researches. I would give an introduction of smart jewelry and relate it with blockchain. I will also present supply chain challenges related to smart jewelries and what are the entrepreneurial implications in this area. And I will conclude my talk by presenting directions for future work. To give a brief background, I was born in India, and after completing my master's studies, I have been away in France and in Canada for my master's and doctoral studies. I have a long-term established career in the area of modeling and simulation, data mining, information technology and decision making, quality assurance in supply chain management, sustainable supply chain planning, and city logistics. Most of my academic career has been dedicated to research in these topics, and I have published widely on these themes. In addition, I am also serving as the education chair for Canadian Operations Research Society. Being associated with this society has also given me a broader outlook towards processes in general and industrial applications of operations research, and is also hence related to the topic of today's talk. In addition, I am also a prolific YouTuber. I have recently started several YouTube channels to promote women education, to promote free education for all, and also how young and budding entrepreneurs can launch themselves into virtual enterprises or e-startups. Ongoing researches, I have worked on car sharing network growth simulation, port logistics, basically assessing how trucking movements at port entrances should be managed so that we have less congestion in cities. I am also very actively involved in transportation policy planning, which type of policies should be enforced, where and involving whom, so that we have minimal impact on our city environment and have improved quality of life is one of my core areas of research. I have also worked on data mining models that involve the use of analytics for predicting what are the best routes to go from one destination to another. In simple words, it can be linked to the GPS we use in our car nowadays to go from point A to point B, how to figure out the best routes given any traffic congestion. In addition, I am also looking into multi-stakeholder collaboration planning models. These models look at problems from a practical perspective and consider perspectives of all those who are part of the bigger problem. So if I were to consider trucking movement inside city centers, instead of just limiting to shippers and carriers, the city traffic planners, the administrators, the city residents, all should be part of the decision problem in order to ensure that we have a holistic solution. So this is also one of the research areas in which I work. The applications of such models have been in location planning of urban consolidation centers. In my postdoctoral studies in France, I have employed such models for figuring out the location planning of consolidation centers. I have also worked on tagging of aircraft components for Bell helicopters to ensure that there is some value of product at the end of life. So in other words, we all have traveled in airplanes and helicopters and related air vehicles, and we hardly wonder what happens to them at the end of their life. So is there any useful value that could be recovered from such products which are highly expensive and are merely parked in lots at the end of their life? So in this study, in collaboration with Bell Helicopters Textron Limited, we have developed simulation models to figure out what are the best technologies that could be used to tag aircraft components so that there is more or greater recoverability of aircraft components. In addition, I am also working on future transport scenario simulation. So these are exploratory studies in which we want to have hypothetical mapping. So for example, if we take the case of whether there is possibility of life on Mars, what would happen if a new meteor comes closer to Earth environment and so on. So such scenarios are exploratory in nature. We may have to rely on expert opinions and may not have access to all factual data. So such exploratory scenarios are also what I am looking forward to work upon. And the current slide is one of such scenarios. Along with my doctoral students, we are very actively involved in data analytics nowadays, particularly prescriptive analytics. Such studies help us monitor the traffic congestion on city roads and take mitigation measures or proactive measures so that traffic incidents, delays, congestion can be avoided in time. Electromobility is another new area. We are looking into multiple energy options such as biomass, hydropower, solar power, wind power, and so on. So what are the various renewable energy options that could be used to substitute gas? Where such energy sources are available, how to harness maximum energy, what policy should be devised by government to ensure that there is more and more usage of such biofuels and less dependence on gas. And we are also looking on infrastructure planning problems for such energy sources. So in this particular slide, we are focusing on electric and hybrid vehicles, and hence the name electromobility. Last but not the least of my current researches is connected mobility as part of my Concordia University research year. In this research, we are exploring the possibility of driverless vehicles to be made available in dedicated tracks for areas which are underserved, for areas which undergo extreme climatic conditions, or for areas which have poor connectivity to public transport. So autonomous vehicles are seen as great potential in those underserved areas, and we are looking at test beds, we are looking at collaboration possibilities with automobile manufacturers, with infrastructure, test beds with city transport planners, with municipal administrators, with policy planners, and even with city government, state government, and central government to look into how such a futuristic scenario comprising of autonomous vehicles or driverless cars will look like. In my previous studies in France, I have looked at test beds at laboratory level, at experimental test bed level, which was very promising. In US and Canada, and also in many other states in Europe, we are testing the possibilities of rolling down autonomous vehicles on streets. In certain airports, such vehicles already exist. So there is promising future, and I am hoping that under the Mr. Narendra Modi and Mr. Transport Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari ji, we will have some collaboration possibilities in near future. And so there is all hope to explore in this area of autonomous vehicles. There are already several experimentations underway in US and other cities. So there is still a long way to go, but we are on track. Now coming to the talk of today on blockchain and smart jewelry. When I discussed with Neelu and she invited me to give a talk, I asked her if there was any preference for a topic that she would like me to speak upon. As you might have realized from the very slides that we have mostly worked in the area of logistics and supply chain management, and therefore most of my contributions are in the very same area. But today I'm going to talk about a topic called smart jewelry, which is very dear to me and is also very relevant in Indian context. This is not the first time I'm speaking about this topic. I have already given talks, so you can assume that I have some exposure now to speak on this topic. And I will relate it with blockchain because the theme of today is entrepreneurship. So what is a smart jewelry? A smart jewelry is capable of communicating with other agencies in real time. So it is a smart device. It can communicate with the agencies or persons or communities it wants to communicate with. To set the background of smart jewelry, I would refer to something that we all are aware of, particularly as Indians. So smart jewelry is a jewelry. It is a prevention mechanism to safeguard people in danger or victims from unexpected situations such as Nirbhaya rape con. So there are some researchers already in place in this direction. Some technologies, some models already exist, but I am presenting my take on it. So my definition of smart jewelry is that it is capable of communicating with other agencies in real time. Now, smart jewelries could take many shapes. The currently available smart jewelries in market look like earrings, or look like necklaces, or look like smartwatches, look like eyeglasses, or some wearable pads to monitor the health movements. So in the slide in front of you, I have presented some more designs which smart jewelry can possibly take. So these could be in the form of chips that could be embedded inside the human body. They could be in the form of panic buttons. They could be just a phone. They could be as simple as some perfume, or they could be even more variable. So I am not ignoring the jewelry option. It still remains there, but in addition, we can have many other. It could also take shape of a alarm, like a fire alarm. So a smart jewelry is capable of communicating with other agencies in real time. Now, where smart jewelry could be used? So I gave the context of Nirbhaya rape Khan, but this is not the only case where it can be used. It could be used to prevent victims who are assaulted due to being handicapped. If somebody is kidnapped, they can use such jewelry. There are attacks by animals, and under such situation, you do not know what to do. So if the person is wearing a smart jewelry, they can communicate to respective agencies and say that their life is in danger. There may be small kids who are looking for some berries or mushrooms in forest and they are lost and they do not know how to come back home or how to get back to their parents. So if they are wearing some smart jewelry, they can be rescued. Likewise, there may be a stranger attack. We often hear about acid attack and many other attacks on women on the go in India. So this smart jewelry is in no means a proof to such incidents. It is not stopping such incidents. Rather, it is safeguarding the proof that an attack happened, and it is transmitting this information to the concerned agencies in real time, so that if the victim lost their life, there is some proof where such incident happened, the time at which incident happened, who was possibly involved, and accordingly backup cases could be taken forward by the parents, by the associated lawyers, or by the police agencies themselves, because this information is communicated in real time. Likewise, there may be a road accident or slippery condition on the road. You may be in danger. You may not have your phone always with you. So such smart jewelry can help you communicate with your family members that I have met with the traffic, with a road accident on city road. Please send some help. And last but not the least is kids who are more prone to such incidents. So if they are kidnapped or if they are under defenseless situation, so such jewelry may possibly help. So what is the working mechanism for such jewelry? So the working mechanism performs wireless transfer between the victim and the helpers. Now these helpers could be your family friends or your colleagues or another person that you are in contact with that has access to a phone or another type of smart jewelry which can receive and transmit information once receiving a signal from you, or it could be a police agency. Now the smart jewelry may communicate directly with the police or via your friend. So multi-way information transfers are possible, but at the core lies the mechanism of transfer of information. So several features are expected in such smart jewelry. It should ensure connectivity, should be lightweight, should be secure, safe, and should be easily charged. Because if you take your smart jewelry and it loses charge when it is the time to call, then it is a failure. In addition, we have several add-ons, such as it should be able to convey its location. If it has video audio detection capabilities, that will be excellent. In addition, it should have advanced cognitive capabilities also, if possible. So this might be, considered by startups as to how to include all these features in new models or currently available models. In market, there are already several existing pilots for smart jewelry. As I mentioned, there are smart rings, smart watches, panic buttons, safety alarms, smart clothing, medical devices, wearable safety devices, and so on. So the respective companies and the likely prices I have mentioned. Now this is subject to change, but at least we have something to go. We are not starting from scratch. So this is the context of supply chain. Now, what are the supply chain challenges for developing such type of smart jewelry? When we talk about smart jewelry supply chain, the fundamental features of any supply chain management come into picture, such as how such jewelry should be designed, where it should be manufactured, what are the facility layout considerations, how should production planning be done, what are the inspection and testing mechanisms for such products, how should such jewelry be packaged so that there is no wear and tear during warehousing and transportations. So we have to make sure that our product, which is smart jewelry here, meets the requirements. Talking about such requirements, we have to consider whether we will do local production or we will outsource it, do it global supply chain, whether we should buy the product from a single supplier or multiple suppliers, whether we will do online business or we will do one-to-one personal business, and lastly, whether the product will be digitally made by machines or it will be handmade. So in considering all these supply parameters, we need to be up to date on technology such as buyer supplier integration systems. We should properly forecast the demand traceability. Now, who are the users of such product? As I mentioned that children will be the users of such products, women, old age, disabled animals will be the user of such products as well, and people at risk. So anybody who is prone to victimization is a likely user of such product. Now we talk a lot about sustainability nowadays. So such products need not be heavy, because if they are so heavy, then cannot be carried by kids, cannot be carried easily by old people. Likewise, they have to be health conscious related. So if some people have heart problems, you cannot develop the jewelry with material that interferes with the other health issues of the owners. In addition, we do not want that the jewelry after usage should be scrapped. So otherwise, if it is just a use and throw type of jewelry, then maybe we have to buy many times, and many people would prefer that we just buy it once and use it for many times. So product life cycle management, or let's say reverse logistics, is something we cannot ignore. Now, how many people would like to have market are also some some issues that require consideration. What are the entrepreneurial implications for us given all this context? So I would bring the focus here on Industry 4.0. For those of us who are not familiar with Industry 4.0, its backbone lies in cyber physical systems, Internet of Things, and networks. And Industry 4.0 has gradually evolved from Industry 1.0, which emphasized on mechanization, steam power, weaving loom, to mass production assembly line and electrical energy in Industry 2.0, followed by automation, computers, and electronics in Industry 3.0. So the focus of Industry 4.0 is on cyber physical systems. And the 9 pillars of Industry 4.0 are autonomous robots, simulation, horizontal and vertical system integration, Internet of Things, cyber security, cloud, additive manufacturing, augmented reality, and big data and analytics. So these 9 pillars of Industry 4.0 are promising opportunities for budding entrepreneurs, since each one of them is on the high edge, or let's say, or is on the tech edge of startups, for researchers, for budding entrepreneurs. So multiple possibilities exist, and when we are talking about smart jewelry, each one of these 9 pillars can be carefully assessed to see how our smart jewelry operations, planning, and supply chain management can be better performed. Coming to blockchain. Now, blockchain is a very minuscule element in the big plethora of cybersecurity solutions. Bitcoin is the core of blockchain, which is again a distributed ledger. So when we are relating blockchain with smart jewelry, we are basically addressing the cybersecurity aspect of smart jewelry and trying to minimize bureaucracy between the involved stakeholders. The goal is to ensure traceability. Now, in my next slide, I will talk about the cybersecurity challenges in smart jewelry. So we as naive users mostly rely on, let's say, purchase of a smart jewelry and its usage. So let's say Madame X or Miss Y purchases a smart jewelry and starts using it. There is a victim attack, there is a theft attack, and Miss Y uses the smart jewelry to call a police agency to show that her situation is in danger. There has been a theft in the house and she needs their assistance. So this is the scenario which most of the buyers will keep in mind when they purchase smart jewelry, that the victim can call the rescuers at the time of need, and an agency, a search agency, will come to their help when needed. From technological point of view, this may not always happen, and therefore this is not clearly visible to the user. But from the solution developer perspective, these cybersecurity implications need to be taken care of so that the smart jewelry we are developing is foolproof, is not failing when it should work, and it is not, let's say, a fake. Because it is easier to sell products in the name of smart jewelry and make some money, but this is not the goal of smart jewelry. It is developed with a naive intention, with a noble intention. So the work it should perform should be at highest standards of quality. So since my talk is focused on smart jewelry and blockchain, I will present what are the cybersecurity implications that can hamper the effective functioning of smart jewelry. And therefore, the budding entrepreneurs or solution developers should try to take into account these considerations and should propose solutions that ensure traceability. So For example, if a victim is signaling its position and saying that, and the smart jewelry is indicating the location, is indicating the time and date, and if this information goes missing, then the whole data has been tampered. So traceability is a very important consideration in smart jewelry development, and budding entrepreneurs should look into how to make such solutions traceable from the victim to the agencies where such information was relayed. Secondly, policy enforcement is very important. I talked about transportation policies in my previous slides, highlighting the importance of existing policy scenarios and exploratory scenarios. So what are the policy implications if such a fraud happens, if someone manipulates the information of time, location, etc., when it was being transmitted from the smart jewelry to, let's say, a police or a search agency? So strict policy measures are required to punish such cyber criminals or other criminals who are involved in such malicious agenda. So what kind of policies should be devised, and what should be the punishment if such policy violations happen? Are research implications, are possible tools for scenario simulation by budding entrepreneurs. Thirdly is privacy protection. So here I am talking about the privacy or the data of the victim itself. So for example, the victim who is communicating the information may want to communicate only part of the information. So for example, giving the case of Nirbhaya Hatyakand, if she was using such a smart jewelry and she wants to provide only half of the information given the situation in which she was found, then it should be allowed. So the solution that our smart jewelry provides should ensure privacy of the victim. And if the user or here, let's say, the victim who is communicating this information wants to provide only part of the information, then it should be respected. So privacy protection is a fundamental right of the victim, and we cannot ask victim to reveal all what they do not want to just because we have sold a product in the name of cybersecurity or in the name of smart jewelry. Last but not the least is high speed. Often during our talks, we observe that the internet becomes so slow, the connection is lost, or the information is, we sent an email, but the sender never received the email, or our email returns back. So when the smart jewelry is functioning, the speed is very important. So the smart jewelry is communicating some message about a serious incident, about a serious situation, but that message is never reaching the destination due to slow speed, due to message returns, due to erroneous connections between the sender and the receiver. So high speed of internet or high speed communication channels should be underway, linking the smart jewelry agencies, and therefore budding entrepreneurs should also look into such mechanisms that the speed of information is not compromised in the use of such jewelry. So concluding my presentation, several startup possibilities exist for the budding entrepreneurs or for the people who want to take the smart jewelry challenge to the next level. I am presenting here few possibilities. The list is endless, but those who want to start with can certainly look into these 4 cybersecurity implications that I mentioned, assuming that we have a sound smart jewelry in hand. As I mentioned, that there are some women-oriented smart jewelry, some physical health-oriented smart jewelries, which are currently being developed. This market is not fully exploited, but it has great potential in India, particularly where every day women are subject to one or the other kind of attacks. But I must not quote India here because I already mentioned in my very beginning slide that women are not the only users of such smart jewelry. There are old age people, there are children who are, let's say, who may have lost their ways. There may be, let's say, road use accidents, and there may be users of those use. So such users may also be there, and also anyone who is subject to victim. So one who is handicapped may always have a smart jewelry at their access, so that if their chair slips somewhere, if they are attacked by someone, or if they are under any suspicious environment, they can press the smart jewelry button, and some help maybe could be made available to them. So concluding this slide with tech startup possibilities. So there could be startups which can link with what type of smart jewelry project should be planned. Should it be women-oriented jewelry? Should it be old person-oriented jewelry, and so on? To be able to simulate such scenarios, so software companies can look into simulation products which can model such attacks. There could be security organizations which could look into the speed, traceability, policy planning aspects that I mentioned. Now, value identification, trust detection could be addressed through blockchain and other technologies. They also require deeper investigation. Bitcoin, blockchain, they are all new on the market. Although they are seen as panacea to many fraudulent activities, yet solid testing grounds are required. Innovation is the need of the market. So should we develop a smart jewelry, or should we teach our boys how to behave with girls, or should we teach our kids to inform their parents when they go out of the house? So innovation on how to better help the victims created, and consultancy companies can look into that. Gap analysis of currently available products in the market and what is needed, what customers expect, could also be problem of interest to some of us. Liability detection. So when such an incident happens and a smart jewelry is in action, who is liable? Should, or on whom the onus should lie? So such kind of backup softwares could be developed, which can be used by lawyer and other court agencies as a backup proof. Collaboration planning is very important. As I mentioned, that the fundamental of blockchain lies in linking of the involved parties or multiple stakeholders through distributed ledgers. So if this smart jewelry is in action and we want to link the victim and the police agency and the other communication channels, then how such chain should be developed, what information should be transmitted, recorded, and stored is worth investigating. Last but not the least is disaster resilience. So smart jewelry, as I mentioned, is in no way a proof to safeguard any incident. It is more of an information tool that can provide supplementary information, backup information to helpless parents, to helpless people, helpless friends who tried to help their friend, who tried to help, let's say, a victim person, but couldn't help in lack of such information. So such type of smart jewelry could help in mitigation of a disaster if we have stronger mechanisms such as policies to punish such criminals or absolutely avoid such incidents. If there is such type of activities, then all the smart jewelry, the policies, and other required activities must be put in place so that disaster resilience could happen. So this is worth investigating. What our budding entrepreneurs offer is something I would look forward to. I myself am transitioning into this area, looking forward to develop such products and projects. So we'll be very happy to collaborate with anyone who wants to work in the area. So thank you everyone for listening, and that's all for today. If there are any
Uh, Ma'am
available.
Udian Kuchha, ma'am Dr. Anjali Awasthi, ma'am, there are a couple of questions. Would you
Yes,
like to take up?
yes, please. You can put forward the question.
Professor Vivek Kuchal, who is a professor in Maharaja Agarsen Institute of Management Studies, has asked this question.
Yes,
Considering a country like India,
yes.
considering a country like India, where all infrastructure requirements are not met, what would be the immediate opportunities in this domain with respect to India? I repeat the question. Considering a country like India, where all infrastructure requirements are not met, what would be the immediate opportunities in this domain for India?
Uh, Thank you. Very nice question. Say that we cannot take law into our hands. If such infrastructure does not exist, then we must look into what are the legal options possible and try to work within the legal means. We cannot tamper with civil infrastructure. We cannot tamper with. So we have to still move forward, but we should act within the legal means.
Ma'am, there is yet another question.
Yes.
It's asked by Pragya. She is asking that what is the future of Bitcoin in the next decade? Is it feasible to invest right now and look forward for getting returns in future?
All right. So this is a very interesting question. Pragya has asked. Um, Although Bitcoin is very popular nowadays, and I have seen Bitcoin ATMs here and there, but I myself have not invested in it. I myself am doing more study to know about the future of Bitcoin. So I would just present my personal opinion. I am not into Bitcoins. So, but
Thank
I'm
you so
not,
much, ma'am.
yeah, but I'm not representing the whole world.
Thank you so much, ma'am. There are a couple of questions which Dr. Neeraj Garg
Yes,
would like to ask.
yeah,
So,
please.
Dr. Neeraj Garg, please be online.
Thank you, Udinji. Okay, thank you, Udinji. Professor Anjali Awasthi, thank you for giving us speech. Ma'am, my question is, you have mentioned 4 points in cyber security implications.
Yes.
Those are traceability, policy enforcement, primary prefect, and high security, high speed. My question is there any other point which you can conclude, which you can include here and forget to mention here? Anything which you think it can come?
Um, I would not say that I have forgotten but one thing I can certainly add is that we can prioritize. So, for example,
Prioritize.
among these four options, one may be more important than another. This I can certainly say.
If I take the order, does traceability come first or does come high speed come first? If I ask you to prioritize these points,
Yes.
how will you order it? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so I am giving here my personal opinion because we can talk to determine what is of high importance. We need more than one people to answer. But if I would give my personal opinion, then I would put high importance on policy planning because in one of our previous questions, it was mentioned we do not have enough infrastructure. So
Right.
when we are talking about speed, we are talking about traceability, then we are assuming that we have a sound infrastructure in place. If we are not in such situation, then policy is something we could always request or always stand for, and policies can overrule all the infrastructure and technological solutions. So if I were to prioritize, I would put the policy at first level, followed by others.
Thank you, ma'am. One more question. You have mentioned different application context. One of the contexts was lost kids on the walk.
Yes.
So how will you comment on this? How you decided that lost kids not walk can be a context for your work?
Yes. So presenting here the situations in which smart jewelry may be relevant. So for example, let's say you are going for a walk on a slippery road condition and all of a sudden you slipped, you became unconscious or your leg got frozen and you do not know what to do. So in such situation, you can use your smart jewelry to indicate that I am in this location and I got slipped and so on. So this was the context in which I presented that slippery road conditions. Or let's say if you, in India, if we can say, let's say someone may slip down a valley or slip down a road which is not well maintained. In that case, also you can indicate your position. You can say that I am at this location and please come to pick me up or help me. So this is the context in which I presented smart jewelry.
You rightly said. I hand over mic to Mr. Udain Jha. You may ask.
Ma'am, just one more question. Dr.
Yes.
Nagpal ma'am wanted to know that with regards to the smart jewelry, in case of women, particularly for women, what gap analysis, what kind of gap analysis need to be done?
Okay, yeah, very good question.
And this is the last question, after which Sonal ma'am will take over.
Okay, great. So this is a very nice question on gap analysis. Gap analysis here refers to the difference between the market expectations and perceptions. So those of you who are, let's say, students or researchers who are working in the area of how is the current situation of smart jewelry. So in one of my slides, I have already presented 10-20 competitors available in the market. So you can do gap analysis with respect to the product they are offering and your own expectations of the product. So this way you will identify what are the gaps and your own product may try to overcome those weaknesses by providing those, by let's say alleviating those gaps.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for all the answers. Now I hand over to Sonal ma'am.
It was indeed a very enriching question and the enlightening question and the answer session. I would like to thank Professor Anjali Awasthi for sharing her knowledge on supply chain, transportation policy making, logistics in airport component supply chain, and sharing futuristic research areas of prescriptive analytics, electromobility, connected mobility, and Industry 4. I would also like to thank her for explaining the concept of blockchain and how this technology can be used in smart jewelry as an information tool for mitigation of a disaster. Keeping the words of Abu Bakr in my mind, I would like to say, knowledge without action is meaningless. It's high time that we implement our knowledge and be self-independent. Moreover, it takes a step forward in realizing the nation's dream of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So, without any further ado, I would like to call upon Dr. Ashish Khanna to proceed with the event. Thank you so much, ma'am, and I invite Dr. Ashish Khanna to proceed with the event.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of EDC Maharaja Agrasen